Hello, everybody. Due to circumstances beyond our control, actually, that happened to me once on the air when we had changed a program to put in a special, and then the special got canceled. And I wrote in the script that due to circumstances beyond our control, the program originally scheduled will now be heard. And indeed, the program originally scheduled will now be heard. I see Robert Merrill standing in the doorway, and he has his New York Yankees jacket on, so that must be good. Bob, sit down over there, if you will. And last time I looked, Victor Borge was lying down outside. Here he is.
Hey! This is Mike.
Now, we only have 2 microphones, but that's all right, because I don't have to talk very much. Thank you. Down.
We only have 1 mic for 2 of us.
I know.
I can't share a mic with Victor.
No, it's fine.
Where do you want to sit?
Any plan?
Okay.
Well, age before beauty.
See, you thought Abbott and Costello were gone. No way. One of the things I thought we would talk about...
You know, he did it without hands.
You notice he did it without his hands? I'm a little concerned now. Anyway.
One of the things I thought we would talk about, since we have here an exquisite pianist, a marvelous singer, I thought we'd talk about conducting. And actually, Victor Borge has been fascinated with conducting for years, and I have a review here from just a few months ago from the Ottawa Citizen, which I take it is a newspaper in Ottawa. And along with a long rave review of the comedy and pianistic material, he says, as a conductor, he somehow gets the members of the National Arts Center Orchestra to play with greater flexibility and warmth than almost any other conductor is able to coax from an ensemble.
Well,
It's not all that surprising because that's the way Victor plays the piano. But Bob Merrill, you have worked...
who?
Him. You have worked with Victor Borge as a conductor, and you've also worked with Toscanini and a few other people like that. How does he shape up? I mean, how does he...
He's dead. Toscanini is dead. Toscanini is dead.
Last time I looked, yes, but I mean, how does it compare? How does Mr. Borge compare with some of the other great maestros you've worked with?
Well,
Very well.
I saw your act the other night. Liberace, you're not. Well, I tell you, I worked with Toscanini, I worked with many conductors, Tchaikovsky, but I must say I had more fun singing Carmen, with Victor conducting the performance of Carmen. It was memorable, it really was. He introduced me that evening. He spoke too, you know, the only conductor. Toscanini never spoke. He speaks. And he introduced me, and now, Emilio Merrill. And it went on from there, and we had a ball. I enjoyed it very much. His beat is excellent. When he beats 4, it looks like 2. But it's very, very precise. No, I really enjoyed it. I had as much fun and more thrilling, more thrills working with Victor than I did with Toscanini, because Toscanini I was scared to death. Scared the hell out of me, but he was marvel. I mean, well, he's a genius. The man saw Verdi conduct. Can you imagine, he told us at the rehearsal that he saw Giuseppe Verdi conduct the mass ball when he was 8 years old.
Who?
Verdi was 8 years old, no. And they told me what he enjoyed most about the performance. Toscanini was 8 years old. He loved the beautiful legs on the soprano.
Victor, Bob Merrill likes your either 2 or 4 beat. I'm not sure which he liked better.
He doesn't know the difference.
What I want to know, do you practice these things ahead of time, or is it the inspiration of the moment?
No, it's when it's all over. No, I don't practice those things. You cannot. You can't practice those things. You can practice, of course. You can read the score. You can learn the score. You can practice in that respect. But once you play, there's a famous story about Brahms, who conducted one of his symphonies, and the reviewer said that he didn't play it as fast as he did at rehearsal the day before. And Brahms said, well, that was the day before. See, you don't make up your mind in advance.
Bob, what do you do when you've rehearsed the Toreador song at a certain tempo, and then Victor comes and decides he wants to do it faster? What do you do about
He
it?
does it half-assed.
You know something, Victor? Escamillo kills the bull. Two serious artists.
You didn't answer the question, though.
I forgot the question.
I'm afraid to ask it again. But you rehearse something one way, and you get to the concert, and the maestro decides to do it a different way.
Well, there's a happy medium, now to be serious. A good conductor is a conductor that adjusts to the performance, because after all, an operatic conductor, there's a soprano, tenor, bass, baritone, and chorus. We're all individuals. We'll have our individual temperaments. A good conductor would adjust. In other words, when you rehearse, the tempies are there and you stick to what's written. But during the performance, someone may be tired or whatever, you adjust to it and you go along. And that's what a good conductor should do. I really think so. Is that right?
Absolutely, absolutely.
What is your method of dealing? What is your method of dealing with tired singers generally? How do you?
I wait till they wake up.
Is it easier to conduct than to play the piano?
That depends on what you conduct. If you don't know the score very well, you must know the score as well as you know the piano score when you play piano. For instance, many pianists have trouble learning by heart. I never had the trouble. I had trouble learning. But never by heart. And the same with the score. I don't conduct a score that I don't know by heart. I will sometimes have the score in front of me for security, in case some of the musicians fall asleep. But to conduct, in my opinion, means that you play the orchestra as you play the piano. The orchestra is an extension of your fingers. Each finger represents a section in the orchestra, the strings, the oboe, the baritone, whatever, you know. And is that correct?
Well, if you've got Merrill, you got a baritone. It's true.
That's too bad. Because he is not in the orchestra, he's a soloist. He demands the orchestra as accompaniment. And therefore, the soloist is the boss. If the conductor plays too slow or too fast, and the singer doesn't want to sing too slow or too fast, it's just too bad for the conductor. Because he might finish before the singer is finished.
It has happened, yes.
Of course.
Doc,
Absolutely.
You're absolutely right.
when Victor learns the scores by heart, you have to learn not only the music by heart, but zillions of words. Has it ever happened, other than the other night, that you forget words?
Every performance. No, we do. Well, we're human beings. There are thousands of words, and in the opera, of course, you're working with other people, you see. You have to sing off them. In other words, when they finish a phrase, you have to continue. No, we have a prompter at the Metropolitan Opera. There's a man that sits in the booth. I don't know whether you've noticed it. He sits and he prompts you. If you're having problems, he'll give you the cue. That's right.
That's why all operas are sung in foreign languages so nobody can understand.
It's so true.
I should know.
Yeah, you do. We had lived some time. Jan Pierce and I were singing in Boston, the Mass Ball, and we had a little problem when Jan Pierce sang in Yiddish. And you know, the maestro thought it was great. He didn't know the difference. I did, because I couldn't get the next word. You see, he says "gay and dread." You know, that means happy birthday. I have to sing "Tutto va bene" in Italian, and it was very difficult. However, we pulled out of it, and it worked out fine. But those things will happen. No, you do forget periodically, but if you know a score well, and I'm very serious, you must know the score very, very well. You must study it well. If you know it well, you don't make that many mistakes. And when you do make a mistake, you come out of it, if you know it well. If you don't, well, then you have problems.
Is it easier for you to come out of mistakes because people are laughing all through the show and they sort of expect something funny to happen?
Well, I don't know if it's easy. It's the only way. When I'm stuck, I'm stuck. We had Carl Nielsen, the great Danish composer. My father played in the opera house there. And as a matter of fact, Carl Nielsen was the musician. He played the violin there, but he also conducted his own operas. And they said that he was the worst conductor in the world. He couldn't even conduct his own music. And the opera stopped about 4 times every 10 minutes. But then they continued without the conductor. And it can be done, but it's not very nice.
No, it'll happen. I had a conductor fall asleep. It's true.
Was that boring?
What's that lady that's in Boston?
Sarah Caldwell?
God bless her. She's a wonderful woman and a great
Margaret Thatcher.
Margaret Thatcher. Marie Dressler. That was something. No, but she was tired, you know, from rehearsing. And in the third act, the chorus scene, the Traviata, she fell asleep. That's true.
The opera isn't finished yet.
But the concert master kept the orchestra going. The man that plays the first violin section, he conducted until she woke up. And someone sang loud or something woke her up. But it can happen. She's a human being. She's a human being. We're all human beings.
Yes?
Victor, some of us cheated the other night and sat in on both of your shows.
So did I.
Yeah. And I was delighted and not entirely surprised, because I've seen your show many times, that even when you're doing the same essential routine, it changes. And you will make one comment one time, and then you will go off and do another comment. The page-turning stint. I'll tell you a little secret off, behind the scenes here. Those of you who were at the second show and saw that page-turning with a tall guy, that's Victor's son, Ron. And
Who?
Ron is also the stage manager, and I was sitting right next to him, and he's giving cues to the light, to the sound man. He said, "This is going to happen next." And Victor said something or other with the thises and the that's, and Ron said into his mic, and as I say, quietly, but I was sitting next to him, And he said, this is the part where I'm going to go on. And it never happened. Because, I don't know, you got started with something else and it never came to pass.
I don't like him.
Well, that's your own problem. No, sure.
That's his problem.
Right. This is the longest question in history. But to complete it, how do you decide what happens in a show? How did you decide on the first show that you weren't going to call him out, on the second show that you would?
It never entered my mind. I don't know. I just have problems thinking of what I have just done and what I miss doing and what comes next and if I have done that before, because it's a constant fight in my mind. I never know what I'm doing as I do it. Because I'm thinking, have I just done that, or when is the time to do such and such, and then I can't remember anything anyway.
Do you know what you're doing, Bob, when you're singing? I mean,
I don't know what I'm doing being the same. I didn't even finish my rice pudding together. Wow. Anyway, what was that question again? You see,
we all have this memory problem, obviously.
What was that?
Oh, dear me, yes.
When you go out to do a concert, how much do you know exactly what you're going to do?
Well, it's programmed. It's programmed. I know exactly what I'm going to do until I get on the stage. We make out the program before.
No, but you talk to the audience, you said things.
Well, I wait. I listen to. I wait to see what happens, how the audience responds. That's how I respond. In other words, if the audience is alive like they are today, no, I react, in other words, to the audience. I'm sure Victor does the same thing.
And if the audience is not alive, what do you do about it?
We bury them.
This was all rehearsed.
You can't have all those corpses sitting around. You have to do something. Anyway.
What do I do here? I don't know.
You're doing very well.
I'm being buried by... No.
Let me ask you a question.
Yeah.
After all, you're the interviewer, we're the interviewees.
That's what I was thought
Wees,
so. Yeah.
wees.
Speak for yourself.
No, is it difficult interviewing us? How do you respond? How do you react? I mean, how do you, interchange?
I find that it is wonderful interviewing you, but there's no coherence here.
I don't agree with that, because people expect to be entertained, to know what we do in the opera or when we conduct or what we don't do we conduct. It's not that important. The important thing is when we sing, when we play, and when we conduct. That's what counts. Now is a matter of entertainment, and you are a marvelous interviewer. I don't like you, but... But I'm getting over it now. Bob and I have together written a couple of books that have been, they were bestsellers for about 45 minutes. My favorite intermissions, and the other one was that.
My favorite comedies and music.
Yeah.
Also, when it was published in England, for those of you here from Southampton, it was my favorite intervals. So that was much more English, but it was the same book.
Yeah.
What's that got to do with anything that we were talking about? What I wanted to know is the reaction to an audience. Bob reacts to an audience, alive or otherwise. You obviously play off the audience. If somebody says something, does something, falls off the balcony, you put it into the show.
No, I pick them up. The audience, to me, is the one who does the performance.
That's true.
I am the audience. I accept what the audience throws at me, either in boredom or laughter or tears or enjoyment or anything. I'm the one who enjoys what the reaction to my performance is.
If it's laughter, it's audible and everybody knows what the reaction is. If you're conducting Carmen, how do you know what the audience is doing, thinking, or enjoying?
Oh, they left after the overture. No, you can tell that. And I compare it generally with a horse in the circus. The horse knows what to do. The horse knows more than the rider knows, because the horse can throw the rider if the horse wants to, but the rider can't throw the horse.
Is the baritone the horse or the rider? I'm not sure here.
It depends on what kind of donkey you ride.
Now, to get a little serious about this question, I have walked on the stage to do a concert tired, some people would have little problems and were exhausted. And before the evening was over, I had all the energy in the world, which I got from the public. You generate a great deal of energy from the public, and that's true. I'm sure it happened to you, because you're never tired. You see, you sleep all the time. You're never tired.
No, I don't agree with that. I agree with you. So you're never tired. You can be dead tired just one step before you enter the stage. But the moment you enter the stage, you are newborn, actually.
That's true.
Your pain is gone. I have been on stage, and so have you, I'm sure, with such pain and such aggravation, mentally or physically. The moment you go on stage, it almost disappears. Of course, depending on the degree.
Well, that's what I said. You get it from the audience. As soon as you walk out, you'll feel the reaction.
Is that what you said?
What happens if it doesn't work? What happens if you tell a joke and nobody laughs?
Then you're dead. No, you don't. I don't tell jokes. It's not a matter of jokes. It is experiences. I don't perform. I say 4 jokes tonight and 3 jokes the other, so on and so on. Then I play a little. It doesn't work that way. I tell of an incident, and then I'm going to play the piano. I know that many people want me to play the piano. I don't know why, but they want it. And this is like a play, really. The pianist who doesn't want to play but has to. And I delay it, and I delay it, and I delay it. And some people get angry and they walk out. So they don't get music anyhow. But that's the thing. And then I know that so long as they laugh and they enjoy it, that's what they come for. They don't come for to hear a piano recital.
No. Bob, let me ask you the same point I raised with Victor before. If you're singing a recital here,
Right.
You're looking out at everybody. You not only can hear the response through applause and but you can see everybody. You can see whether they've nodded off or what. When you're in an opera, you're first of all miles from the audience because you've got this big stage, and you're running around with swords and there's a whole bunch of other people on stage and a chorus and whatnot. Can you still sense the audience and play to an audience?
Absolutely.
How?
I do feel it. I feel the audience. As a matter of fact, you don't even see them, the opera, because it's dark. The theater is dark. But you feel it. You feel it. If your performance is good, if you feel good, the audience reacts, and vice versa. I feel an audience all the time.
What about when you're making a recording?
When I make a recording, it's a difficult profession to get into a studio, a cold studio, and try to interpret as you would on the stage. But when I get before a mic and start to record, I think of an audience. Mentally, I'm singing to an audience and not a microphone. And that's why it's difficult. That's why many artists, wonderful artists, beautiful voices, have problems recording in the studio. You see? But I think of an audience. I think I'm performing for people and not the microphone and the man behind the glass, the guy that turns the dials.
I hate to make recordings because I get terribly nervous, because it must, when I play a recording of piano playing, because when I get nervous I cannot play the natural way I play. And I want to play so that I can get on the recording the way I can play. But I seldom can because I get so nervous, and that's why I don't make recordings.
What are you nervous about?
That it won't turn out the way it can be.
But if it's a record, you can do it over again.
Same thing happens the second time. Well, I know some of the great artists, they have, who was it who did 35 times recorded one special, whatever it was. 35 times until it was, I think it was, well, I can't remember who it was, but I read about it the other day. I shouldn't have done that.
Well, that's why most of the recordings today are made live for audiences. They
Exactly.
record live performances because the performer does.
Do you get nervous, Bob?
When? Before I go on?
Yeah, before you go on.
I think, yes, we all get a little nervous, but I always said there's a healthy nerve and a sick nerve. To be nervous before you go on is healthy, because if you're not, you're a robot. You're not a person. But once you get on the stage, you lose that. But there are people that just don't lose it. They're nervous right throughout, and that's a sick nervousness. So it's a healthy nervousness, anticipation, and a sick nervousness. I've seen artists, and this is true, cough before they go on and develop a bronchitis. And when the performance is over, they're perfectly healthy. It's amazing.
There's a story, actually it's not, it's apparently a fact, that Lily Pons used to throw up before a concert. She was so nervous. And at one point she was doing a television show, and at the last moment they had to postpone it. It was canceled for some reason. The line was out. And she said, "But you can't do that, I've already thrown up." Bob, you must have known some of these wonderful old-time artists, I don't know, Leonard Warren and Lily Pons, all these people that were from the so-called Golden Age. Was there really a Golden Age, or is that just the halo of the past?
Well, the Golden Age, I can't speak for the Golden Age, they call the Caruso era. You know, Caruso, Galacurci, they call that the Golden Age. I think that from 40 up to the late 60s was the Golden Age. I sang with Lily Pons, one of my first performances. I was a young artist, my first season, and here I substituted for Leonard Warren, who was sick. Now I'm singing with Lily Pons. We had no rehearsal because she had already rehearsed performance before with the cast. 5 minutes before I went on to do the first scene, they called me, they said, "Mrs. Pons would like to see you." And I walked backstage, the old Opera House on 39th Street. I walked in, and there were two cats sitting there, Angoras, you know. And there was little Lily, and I walked in with my costume ready to go on, and one of the cats jumped on my lap, and well, I was fine. I was fine. And she said to me, "Oh, Robert Merrill, it's a pleasure to meet you." And I'm going to sing a big duet with her. She said, "Don't worry, the scene starts, you were sitting on the chair, I make my entrance on stage left, and then when we sing the duet at the parts, they sang a little part, I will be on the stage right." I said, "Fine, you're on." And there I am. She walked down instead of stage right, she walked down stage left. When I looked at stage left, she went to stage right. It turned out that, however, it was a great experience for me, because that's how you learn to perform. And she became, she was magnificent, and we sang not only Lucia, we did the Barbara Seville together. I sang her last performance before she retired of Rigoletto. Magnificent, magnificent artist.
And what about the cat?
I shot the goddamn. No, but it was true. She wee right on my head. Nobody saw it, but I will. But that's how we learn. And I've sung with many great artists. Renato Tebaldi, you name them, I sang.
But that's what I mean. We think of these great artists with enormous fondness and affection and nostalgia. But are there the same great artists today in the same quantity? It's just that we haven't...
I don't know, Bob. I haven't been in the Metropolitan for 12 years. So I'm not there, I'm not rehearsing. I really don't know. I think the quality has faded, the vocal quality, not because the voices are not there. They're not studying enough, they do not prepare, there's no longevity because...
They don't have rehearsals enough either.
That's true.
That's it.
We used to rehearse, that's right. Yeah. We rehearsed 3 weeks before we did one opera. Today they put it together in 4 days, you know. And they flip around, they go from one country to another, they sing roles that they shouldn't sing. It's a little different now. That's why you have a handful of wonderful artists. You know, we had a stage full of wonderful artists.
Do you have any thoughts about your own longevity? What, 40 years in the opera and concert?
No, I've been singing a little more than that. But longevity, I had a good teacher. When I started, I had a good technique, solid technique, and kept vocalizing and practicing and training, and sang the roles that were good for me. I built a career. I didn't sing Rigoletto the second year. I turned it down. I waited and waited and waited until the dramatic operas came later, and I think that's the secret.
How do you, as a young singer, second year at the Met, turn down Rigoletto, and why did they throw you out?
They didn't throw me out. Actually,
Throw him out.
No, but I say, why didn't they if he refused to do a role that they wanted him to do?
I don't know, but I wonder what I'm here for.
We'll get to you in a minute.
what the hell are you doing here? The question was?
I don't know, I'm listening to you guys, I can't remember things like that. No, how did you have the guts to turn down a major
Well,
opera?
Mr. Johnson, Edward Johnson was the manager of the Metropolitan those days, and he called me in because he needed a Rigoletto. And I wasn't ready. I could have probably learned it and walked on the stage and sang it, but I wouldn't have been happy. I turned it down. I said, I'm not ready, I'd do it in 3 years. Well, they couldn't understand that. No, we know what you could do, and I knew what their problem was. They needed a Rigoletto.
And they couldn't wait that long.
They couldn't wait that long. So my management thought I was crazy. They thought I would never sing again at the Met. Not true. If you're prepared and you'll do it, they'll call you back. And 2 years later, I sang Rigoletto at the Metropolitan.
What about you, Victor? Do you practice every day?
I never sang Rigoletto.
You never did. One of the
God.
failings.
I didn't turn them down, they just didn't ask me.
But do you practice the piano?
Yeah, what else?
Well, the pool table, there are lots of things you could be doing.
Oh, no. I practice the piano. Not much.
Because,
I always hated to practice, but I love to play.
that's funny, that's
What's
my
that?
situation too. I hated to practice because I didn't.
How do you know you hated it?
Whenever I did it, I hated it. But you obviously hated it and did it anyway.
Yes.
What I want to know is, now that you don't have to do it anymore, do you?
I'm not going to tell you.
Now that he can, he doesn't do it. We're talking about piano sex. What?
See, this is the joy of being an interviewer, when you get a really responsive answer to your questions.
What's his last name?
Pavarotti.
No, God, no, you are the one you are. Don't you wish you were somebody else? No. You're good enough for me.
Thank you. Thank you, Lily.
Are these the same trousers
With the cat?
With the cat, you know?
Not quite.
Okay, well, no, I'm glad.
All right, I'm still trying to find out what you do in your spare time.
I wind my watch.
Come on. We're going to get him yet.
That's practical.
I'll tell you what I do I don't have spare time. Yeah, on board a ship. First of all, I didn't get the accommodations I thought I was, because I had brought a piano, practice piano, and there's not room for that down in the where the engine room is. And I have conduct the opera Carmen. I have a special arrangement of that, and Bob has sung for me or with me in that. This is a cholesterol-free version of Carmen. A kind of a Reader's Digest version, you know, where we play the highlight and I narrated and conducted. And the singers are in costumes, and it is a very charming performance, and people seem to like it very much, particularly the ones who have seen it, of course. And there's a lot of work there to cut it and to learn the worst thing is to learn the cuts, because I know the whole opera anyway, but to learn the cuts, because we cut a lot out of it.
You didn't cut the baritone out of it, though.
But I will now.
It's a video miracle.
Do you practice, Bob?
Yes, I do.
I mean, now?
On the ship, periodic. This one I have to perform on Wednesday, so Tuesday I will, vocalize. But usually when I was at the Metropolitan all these years, I vocalized at least an hour every day. You have to, it's a muscle. You have to keep it, trained. Yeah.
I also have a great correspondence, it is a big, which I hate. I hate office work, but I have a lot to do, and a lot of benefits we do, and things we get involved in constantly, and people think it is just a matter of the music. The music is secondary to all the things we have to do nowadays.
But you play so beautifully. You have such a magic sound at the piano, and it would seem that any other pianist, to maintain that quality, would have to spend 3-4 hours practicing.
That's because they don't have it.
All right, fair enough. All right, are there any of you who have questions for these guys? Because he might as well not answer you as me. Yes.
I like it that you make so many different uses of the same words. How did you decide to do that? Was it something you fell into, or was this planned on your part? Do I make myself clear? I'm not sure I was.
Are you talking about Mr. Borge, first of all? Well, let me rephrase the question a little bit and add some of my own. So many of the wonderful bits of humor that come out of your conversations are plays on words, are taking literal meanings of idioms. And this is not your native language. You came here to the United States and didn't know any English.
I still don't.
But that's the point of the question. You know enough to twist the language around and make it funny. Isn't it the hardest thing in the world to be funny in a language that isn't your own?
I don't know I'm funny until people laugh at it. But when you have to learn a language when you are grown up, then you learn it by word, individual word. Most people speak in phrases, how do you do, good evening, and say hello to your wife, say hello, how many children do you have? But when you learn the language, we say, how many children do you have? Every word means something. And therefore, the sound of any given word presents itself as a strange phenomenon. So do I make you clear?
Yes and no. To give you a one-word answer.
Yes or no? That is one of the funny things you said. What do you mean yes or no? That's nonsense.
It means some is yes and some is no.
Well, why didn't you say so?
It would take too long.
I see. You're right.
Bob, what about you and foreign languages? Is this something that, can you think in Italian? Can you make jokes in Italian?
Not on the operatic stage, no. Sometimes it turns out that way. No, I know what I'm singing about. I mean, if you know the text, and I speak Italian fairly well, you have to know the language. You cannot just do it by rote. Some early singers, people who come to the Metropolitan and haven't studied it, learn it, how do you say when you just learn it Italian by...
Yeah, by rote.
By rote. And
Spaghetti.
it doesn't work.
Spaghetti.
It doesn't work. Io parlo.
Ah.
Because you see, I was born in Brooklyn.
Are there any more Danes here?
Nothing like a Dane.
You have another line of work to go into when you stop singing.
I thought it was Dame.
Some people prefer one, some the other. Yes?
I have a question for Robert Merrill. Would you talk about performing with UC Darling, and is there a complete recording of the Pearlfish?
Would you talk about singing with UC Björling, and is there a complete recording of the Pearlfish?
Unfortunately, we never recorded the opera, but we recorded the beautiful duet. No, I never. I did record it's out now on CDs, Rigoletto, Manolesco, Puccini's Manolesco, Bohème is out now with use. I don't know if there are many recordings of that opera.
But tell us about Björling himself. What sort of a man was he? What do you remember most?
Well, he was a dear friend. He was a wonderful human being, and he was like childlike person. Loved to laugh, and but on the stage, of course, he was a very serious artist. And really, we enjoyed working together. We sang with many operas together. I went back to Stockholm 5 years ago to celebrate his 25th anniversary of his death. We had 4 hours of opera singing, and opera singers from all over the world came, and I hosted and sang. It was a great experience. Now, you see, to me, that when people ask me who's your favorite tenor, and it's difficult to answer, but I say UC Björling is way up there. Golden tones.
Victor, do you have any pianists that you particularly admired or followed or used as role models when you were growing up?
Yes. Ignaz Friedman was my hero. He was, and another one was Benno Moisevich, who probably was the greatest pianist of them all, in my opinion. And his recordings show it now. Unfortunately, they don't have the money, but they're re-recording these things,
Yes, mastering them again on
yes,
CD.
and it is unbelievable. When he played, he sat like this, and he could play anything that was impossible to play, but he never moved. Absolutely sat still. And it was the famous caricaturist, one of the clubs he belonged to. He made 3 caricatures of Moisevich. One was called Andante, and he just sat like this. Then there was another one called Moderato, and then there was maybe one hair moved here. And then Furioso, and then there were 2 hairs moved. But it was unbelievable. He never moved. He sat like this. And it looked so beautiful, and the sound is, there you are, as close to heaven as you can possibly come, if you like piano playing.
Any other questions? Yes.
Oh,
Usually individuals wish to be something that they're not.
we are.
If you could be something else in a profession, what would you be?
Well, I wanted to be a baseball player. That's true. I pitched in Brooklyn, a semi-professional baseball. Oh yes, I wanted to play for the Brooklyn Dodgers, and then of course the New York Yankees, but I never had it. I was good, but not good enough. And my mother, rest her soul, who sang, made me study singing, and thank God for that, because I'd have been through a long time ago as a ball player. But I'm with the New York Yankees, as you may know, so I live vicariously. When I walk on the mound and sing the national anthem, I visualize myself as pitching in the World Series. And lose.
Victor, did you ever want to be a tailor or anything else?
Pope.
What do you say after that? I don't know.
How do you follow that? Pope Borge.
The second. Yes. Are there some other funny things that happened on the stage of the Met that you could tell us about? But we only have another 4 hours, so, well, give us one sample.
Well, one quickie is I was doing Carmen with Risa Stevens, and it was a new production, and I leaped on a platform to sing the Torrido song, and it wasn't propped. You know, they're on wheels, so they go. And I leaped on this platform to sing the Corridor song and rolled right into the wind. I remember.
I think that's going into the act.
I got up, and the wings got up, and they didn't miss a beat, but I never forgot Risa Stevens' eyes as she was sitting there. I'm singing to her, you know, I want to make, you know, an impression. And I'm singing Torredo, and I'm rolling, and she's going. I will never forget that. I experienced the cat. Then I killed the cat.
Do you have an equivalent disaster on one of your concerts?
No, I can't think of any. No, actually, no.
I hate these equivocating answers here. Yes.
Well, a lot of things are always happening, you know, but you don't know one is as stupid as the other, you know.
Yes, ma'am. First came to the United States, were you already a comedian or were you just playing the piano?
No, I was a refugee.
Hey, Pope, you're pretty funny.
Hope goes to Sweden. No, what was the question?
Well, we know that you started as a, forgive the expression, normal pianist. When did you become the Victor Borge we all know and love?
Well, when you saw and heard me, I guess. I don't know when I didn't become anything. You were the one who had chosen it. You must have chosen me to be what you said I was. I didn't decide to be loved and all that nonsense. You decided to like me, or I didn't decide anything. I was starting out. I was a prodigy until about 3 weeks ago, and that's it. And I was a promising young talent, and so on, so on, so on.
Yeah, when did you stop promising and turn comedian? That's what we want to know.
I haven't fulfilled my promise yet.
I give up. Yes.
I seem to remember one of your original appearances on the old Rudy Valley radio album. Do I remember correctly?
No, not Rudy
He
Valley.
remembers you're appearing on a radio show with Rudy Valley. Is that correct?
No, he has a bad memory. It was Bing Crosby. It was the Kraft Music Hall. That was the start. Yeah. That saved me.
And didn't you tell me the other day that you were really learning scripts that you didn't know what they meant? You were learning them by rote?
Well, I got on a Bing Crosby show before I could say 2 sentences in English. That's right. And I wrote something down and they translated it. And when I got on the show, there were 30 million people watching that show every week, the Kraft Music Hall. And I was supposed to do 8 minutes. I think I did 17. And it was a complete riot. And from that first show, I was reading this thing in English without knowing actually what I was saying. And that went on for about 40 weeks, things like that. And after the first show, all the radio commentators all over the country agreed that I was the find of the year on the air, the comedy find of the year.
And when you started to know what you were saying, did things change at all?
Not to the better.
Yes.
I have a comment concerning the first question, how Mr. Borges would use English, which is not his language, to make all this job. But last night, when he started making with the tongue, I saw myself with the same problem. And I said, this is not only funny, but very intelligent man that make a laugh about how to use the tongue to the... It was about 5 minutes with this. I saw myself with this problem.
Okay, repeat that. Why does the gentleman make fun of my accent?
One of the great things about Victor is indeed that everything wells out of truth and out of reality and out of actual situations. The books that we wrote together that he referred to earlier are factual. They are used in some parts, as I've discovered when they've swiped parts of it. It has been used as a reference work because all of the facts, dates, and information in there is correct. It's just how it's presented that makes it funny.
It's true,
Right?
absolutely. Yeah. For
Yes.
once you said something that made sense.
Right. Every so often I hit it, all the way in the back of the balcony.
Yes, not. Bob, just talk about accents. I mean, we're all delighted with your basic Danish accent. The English you speak is slightly more English than American. Yet you live in the States all the years. How come?
A gentleman with a very strong English accent seems to find your English more English than American English, and yet you learned it in the United States. How come?
A point very well taken.
Can you think of anything useful to say, Bob, at this point? Yeah, why are you here?
If you needed a straight man. No, I was born in Brooklyn, so every language sounds peculiar.
You want to sing a song?
I don't talk to you.
You want to what?
Will Bob sing a song?
Will you play a song? Can you sing a song? Well, now you got to do it.
Do you know anything in E flat?
Huh?
Well, what do you took? What about something from Carmen? You must know Carmen.
No.
You know what, Carmen?
No.
What?
He only can conduct it. No,
Do you know a song for one hand or something?
no, I'm a right-handed singer. I only sing with my right hand.
Listen, if you would be willing, one of the things that I adored about the first show that Victor did was the closing medley. He played a group of Danish songs. It was glorious. All the folks at the second show, because you did something even more spectacular, but never mind, I don't want to get the first people upset. But they didn't hear the Danish songs. Would you play those for us?
No, but no, I'll play something with Bob.
I don't know any Danish songs.
Neither do I.
Well, what do you know?
Sing and do it. Sing and do it.
Want me to sing it?
Oh no, that's not the one I sang.
I can't sing the one you sang.
Okay, neither can I.
Well, let's fake something.
No, very good.
Is this the piano?
Excuse me. I've been in tune all day. How does that go? Summer leaves.
Oh, that's terrible.
I did this with Victor on his television show. I don't know what he saw. His 80th birthday. I forgot the words. I don't remember the words. Tell me when to come in, will you? summer leaves drift by my window, the autumn leaves are letting go. I see your lips, the tender kisses, the sunburnt hands I used to hold. Since you went away, the days roll on, and soon I'll hear old winter song. But I miss you most of all, my darling. Play it. You know, for a Pope, he plays pretty good.
What else can you say?
Anything that you don't play.
Why don't you start? What do you know?
I can play it.
I can't sing Rachmaninoff's Second Symphony. I mean, that I can't.
It's the national anthem. You want to play the national?
Figlio mare quanto è bello, sfilatando sentimenti, come tua chi tiene mente, cascedato fai suonare. Guarda qualche sul giardino, sienda sia di giù l'arancia, non profuma così fino, tinto cuore serena, e tu dice parla Dio.
Standing ovation. The whole balcony is standing, the whole orchestra is sitting.
Well, why you keep the harmony?